please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hi, welcome to Overdrive. You're watching the show with me, Sohini Dutt. Now, Hyundai's sister company, Kia Motors, has its eyes set on India. And while they are yet to develop on strategies to set up shop in India, we sent Rohit to the European outfit in Germany to sample their flagship car. Take a look.
The Indian car market, it's become so lucrative right now that car brands that are not present in our country are literally making all sorts of efforts to swarm into that market. One of the latest car brands that will enter and begin operations very soon is Kia. In fact, they will start selling cars in our market by the second half of 2019. And when they do, their flagship product could be something that is the very best that they have to offer. It's called the Stinger GT, and that's the one I'm driving right now. Across various price points, the Koreans have filled the void between the solidly built and sophisticated European cars and the reliable yet relatively inexpensive Japanese cars. We have seen plenty of Hyundai strike a balance between these attributes and add a plethora of features and creature comforts to the mix to create models that give their competition a run for their money. Their sister brand Kia shares a similar outlook, but they aren't stopping at SUVs, hatchbacks and sedans for the masses. They now want to challenge the luxury brands, and the Stinger GT is a step in that direction. It begins with the exterior form. The shape of its sweeping roofline is a nod to European GT cars of the 60s, while the silhouette should remind you of cars like the A7. It isn't as sleek as a BMW 6 Series Grand Coupe, but has a similar nose-up stance. Speaking of which, the tiger nose looks great on the Stinger, while the mesh pattern seen in the grille, the dams and even the headlight design adds a hint of sophistication to the overall form. The gunmetal finish for the bezels and the wing mirror caps looks nice in my books. The tail isn't the prettiest angle for this car, but something that the Europeans could end up seeing very often. Step inside and you will be surprised at the design and the quality of the cabin. The layout is simple and smart. The infotainment software and its layout does remind me of the higher-end Hyundai cars, but it uses darker colors for its interface.
It's like a flagship and in a very sporty way, and it's a very emotional flagship. I think at Kia we do have some emotional products. Okay, you say it's only SUVs and 5 doors and quite, everyday cars, but if you look at the Sportage or the Optima or the GT versions of the Ceed, for example, they are cars with a feeling and with a character, and they are emotional. A Sportage is a very sporty SUV, and I think it fits very well that at the, let's say, upper end of the scale we have the Stinger now, showing the capability of Kia, and I'm really very happy to have it, and we're all very proud. And it's actually happened that the concept car came true, and the production car is really very, very, very close.
With this car, it seems like Kia is literally taking the fight to the performance cars from the other German brands like Audi, Mercedes, BMW. In fact, the instrumentation literally reminds me of the performance Audis from the previous generation. The layout of the instrumentation, the fonts used, everything is very Audi. The overall fit and finish of this cabin is typically European, and that is something that I really like. The way everything is laid out, the fit, the finish, the feel of the materials, it all feels quite premium. It doesn't feel like a Korean car at all. The cabin is pretty spacious, and you sit a tad low with the dash wrapping around you like a typical sports sedan. It even has the numbers to rival these kind of cars and make you rethink about your brand loyalties. The engine also sounds very good, but unfortunately I can't show it to you right now. We are restricted to driving around in the city environment of Frankfurt, and that doesn't give me much scope. But when time permits, I am headed out to the Auto One, and I'll let you know how it feels when the speed limits are gone. This is the range-topping Stinger GT, which means that it is powered by a 3.3-litre petrol engine, and it goes from 0 to 100 in 4.9 seconds. The turbocharged V6 is borrowed from Hyundai's premium Genesis range and puts out over 365 PS of power under the hood of the Stinger GT. You do get an Audi rivaling 4-wheel drivetrain too, but the fun of the Stinger GT will be in its classic front-engine rear-wheel drive configuration. Though the B-roll footage that you see here shows the Stinger around the fabled Nürburgring, my short drive in the car was in and around the bustling roads of Frankfurt. But the Stinger is developed on the ring and perfected by a team of engineers led by Albert Biermann, a top engineer who was poached by Hyundai and Kia from BMW's M division. With the Stinger GT, he wasn't aiming to create an M3 rival, but one that can certainly give more sports sedans a run for their money, and looks like it has worked. On whatever little time I got around the twists and turns of some back roads, the Stinger GT felt nimble and quick. It gets a limited slip differential and an e-diff is under development too. The torque converted gearbox on my test car didn't feel as quick as an Audi DSG or as telepathic as any new age BMW gearboxes, but it got the job done pretty well. Around faster roads though, it may feel otherwise and might just be the weak link for this car. The steering though is surprisingly good for a Korean car, feels quite precise in its operation and complements the intent of this car quite nicely. The progressive brakes and the grippy tires contribute further to make it a package worth considering. As I mentioned before, it could make its way to India as a halo car for Kia, where its role won't be that of undercutting or outselling its European rivals, but to establish the brand identity for Kia, and that it might do pretty well. So to sum this up, let me put it this way. When Kia announced that they are planning to come into the Indian market, I was a little worried that most of their cars might end up feeling like their siblings, the Hyundais. However, this car just changes that perception altogether. It's quite sporty in the way it behaves, in the way it looks, and in the way it drives. And that's a positive sign. In fact, I'm told that the Stinger GT is also going to define the way the future Kia cars are going to perform, the way that they are going to handle, the way they are going to drive. And if this is a sign of things to come, it really looks positive.
Well, with the Stinger, Kia plans to establish a top-down strategy for the Indian market. In case you're wondering more about Kia Motors' strategy and plans for India, all you have to do is pick up the latest issue of the Overdrive magazine. There's a lot more information available there.